Hello, guys. Welcome back to Top Deck Games. My name is TD Bapo, and you're here with
Hey
me with
guys,
Judge Carlo. TD Slice
hello
Bread.
everyone. Hello, hello,
Back in
hello.
Top Deck Games.
It's
Say hello, Carlo.
Hey guys again. Try to get it free. Hey guys, hello, good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, whatever time you guys are watching. I missed that intro. Start with me. This is Update.
Yeah, that's cool. Guys, welcome to the stream. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about New Capenna and its mechanics. Judge Carlo will be walking through us with the latest mechanics from the set. If you guys didn't catch up for a couple of months, as well as this is going to be our episode 3 of Judge Call. So it's going to be very exciting. So without further ado,
Yes.
let's bring in the Judge Call episode 3.
Yes. And hello.
Floor is yours, Carlo.
Good evening again, everyone. This is Carlo G, your local level 1 judge for Top Tech Games and Magic Games as well. Co-judging with Tino during the Yep. So we will go through each family and their respective mechanics. So first, we will go with the brokers, the band colors. So their stake is more of shield counters. If you look at shield counters, think of it as a kind of a callback to regenerate. Okay, let's just read what the shield counters do. If a permanent with a shield counter on it would be destroyed by an effect, a shield counter is removed from the permanent instead of the creature being destroyed. If a permanent with a shield counter on it would be dealt damage, that damage is prevented and a shield counter is removed from that permanent. So essentially, if, for example, our discipline duelist here gets hit by, let's say, a shock and it has a shield counter on it, that damage is prevented and the shield counter is removed. Same thing with, let's say, removal spells like murder. Unfortunately, this doesn't stop -1/-1 effects. If the creature dies because it has zero toughness, it dies and the shield counter cannot save it. Shield counters only care about damage, neutral damage, dealt neutral damage, to damage, or be destroyed by an effect. Okay, next. A very interesting interaction here with these two cards in particular, because these are the ones in standard and in Pioneer, along with other cards, but these are for the most um, for, famous or popular. So we have Bone Crush Giant and especially most specifically the Stomp and calling a professional. Now, when we talk about the damage dealt, it's being prevented. Now, because we have Stomp, which says damage can't be prevented this turn, same with Call in a Professional, what will happen is if you stomp a disciplined duelist, the damage will be there, and since it cannot be prevented, the damage still goes through, and the shield counter is removed. So be wary with effects like this. We have a question here from Anton Gorochi here. Can shield counters be proliferated? Yes, they can. They are still a type of counter. And like any other counter, like +1/+1 counters, like ability counters. Yes, you can proliferate shield counters. So thank you for that, Anton, for the question there. Right. So yeah. Next. Obscura Connive. Creature you control is instructed to connive. You draw a card and discard a card. If you discarded a non-land card this week, you put a +1/+1 counter on the creature that connive. A creature can still connive even if it's not in play. The draw discard still happens. For example, for Hypnotic Drifter, you activate its ability for it to connive in response to shocking. The Hypnotic Drifter still dies, but you still get to draw this card. Next, additional information or as well, there's only one creature in the set that connives X. That is the Lord or the Prime Boss. Yeah, you do the same thing. You connive X. So you connive that much amount of cards and you discard that amount of cards. and plus on the sun counters as well. Next, if a resolving spell or ability instructs a specific creature to connive, but the creature has left the battlefield, the creature still connives. Abilities that trigger that have when this creature connives, like this for example, they still trigger. For example, for Psychic Pickpocket, it enters the battlefield, it connives. It says when it connives this way, return up to one non-permanent to its owner's hand. Even if this creature dies through a instant speed removal, you still get the connive trigger, and you also still get the this trigger where you can return a card from to its owner's hand. So, thing to know, if it connives, response kill it, still connives. We have another question here by Mr. Verochu. If creature has two shield counters, you can save one of them or both talk about damage destruction. I believe only one is removed. I believe only one is removed. Yep. I believe only one is removed, Mr. Anton. Next, Cabaret. Cabaret. Alliance. Alliance is a ability word that highlights triggered abilities that trigger whenever another creature enters the battlefield under control. The effects differ per card. So, Alliance is just a ability that triggers whenever a creature you control enters the battlefield. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under control. So, there are different abilities, there are different Alliance abilities there. Just look out for them. Yeah. Next. Maestros. Casual. Here's another interesting and new mechanic from New Capenna. So casual says, as you cast this spell, you may sacrifice a creature with power N or greater. If you do, copy the spell. So for this one, notes to point out, you can only sacrifice one creature. You can't go and sacrifice all of your little boards or tokens. No, you can only sacrifice one. Another thing of note, this does not work with prowess. Now, if you want to set up where you cast a non-creature spell and you can do prowess trigger to get a casualty, let's say for 3, for example, it doesn't work because prowess is a triggered ability. And even before the prowess happens, that creature is sacrificed in part of casting this spell. So, this is also, yes, a trigger. So it's a copy. So once you sacrifice and cast this spell, 2 of these are put on the stack. So if ever you have a counter spell, you have to counter both if you don't want them. So there's 2 based on the stack. And also, again, copying does not count as casting. So if you have any prowess triggers on your own creature and you cast a little stat here, you only get 1 prowess trigger. And copying does not count as casting. Okay. Next, Riveters. Blitz. Now this has been a very highly debated ability. So yeah, let's get on this. Casting a spell first, this cost has several effects. This creature gains haste, and when this creature dies, draw a card. It also gains at the beginning of your next end step, you sacrifice this creature. This still counts as casting a spell. It's an alternative cost or alternative way of casting, alternative casting cost. You may copy. Another point here is this has happened a lot already. When you blitz a blitz creature and you copy it, let's say, for example, Fable of the Mirror Breaker or the other side reflection of the or any clone effect, you do not get the additional abilities. When we're copying a creature or copying an object, we only follow what's on the card itself. Doesn't matter if it gets these additional abilities, you only copy what's on there. So when you you blitz in a Tenacious Underdog and you copy it with the Fable of the Mirror Breaker, you just get that. You don't get the other abilities stamped on it. This is last point. Dress down interaction with dress down is similar with dash. You heard me you heard me miss say dash just recently. It's more or less like dash. Now with dress down, it works the same way with dash. If you have dress down in play and you blitz a creature out, it loses all its abilities. But the beginning of instep is still there. It's not connected to the creature. It's connected to as when you casted it from its cost. It stays here somewhere in the game state that doesn't um, appear anywhere else. So essentially, at the end of the turn, end of the next end step, you still sacrifice your delicious. Okay, we have another question here by Anton. Still rolling with the question here. If you use Flash on the Blitz creature, can you pay the Blitz cost? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Blitzing is an alternative cost, and for some reason you can cast your creatures with Flash. You can totally use it with Blitz. But of course, on the next end step, you have to sacrifice it as well. So yes, that is positive there, good sir. Yeah. A last note that I forgot to write down here. What happens when you blitz in a creature and it faces out? What happens? When a creature faces out, it comes back during your next turn. So at the beginning of your end step, if you face out your creature, that triggered ability is free for the creature. Since it's not there because it's faced out, because faced out means it's in the battlefield, but it's like it doesn't exist. It's like it's not there. So the ability is trying to sacrifice something that isn't there. So it's gone. During your upkeep, it comes back, it faces back in, but that ability is not there anymore. Because it says at the beginning of your next end step. It doesn't have it anymore. So yeah. So that's a neat trick that you guys can try facing and all that. Right. Next. Last ability from New Capenna is Hideaway. Now, if you look to your left, that is the old formatting of Hideaway. It was placed on a series of lands from Loru. So the ability reads this land comes into play tap. When it does, look at the top 4 cards of your library and remove one from the game face down and the rest at the bottom of your library. A big changes to this is if you see in the right, a bit blurred, I'm sorry about that. So Hideaway has been errata to be its own thing. It doesn't make the permanent come in tap. Wind, Risk, Height, and all the other Hideaway lands from Norway have been errata to the enters the battlefield tap is attached to the land, not the ability. Okay. Another thing that you have to consider is Hideaway now has a number attached to it. Now we have here 4. It should follow every other Hideaway land from Norway. It should follow this new format if ever they are reprinted. Okay. As well as also important note, put the rest on the bottom of your library. At that point, you could have arranged it any way you want. The new Hideaway errata says it has to be in random order. Because at that time, there were some cards that interacted with the bottom of the library or things like that. Okay. So, yep. Hideaway, like what I said, has been errata. You can interesting interaction is if ever you have the opportunity to copy the triggered ability of Hideaway, what happens is, for example, fight rigging, and you copy the enter the battlefield of Hideaway. So you look at the top 5 cards, get 1, get under. Then you look at the next top 5 cards, put 1, and put under. When you are able to trigger its next ability where you can cast it for free, you can cast both. You can play both. Yeah. So see our competitive rules 607.3. Within a pair of 8 abilities, one ability refers to one single effect. It that ability performs any action on that object, it performs that action to each object. So yeah, little bit of ruling there for you. Yeah. Yep. Next, additional notes. Our old friend Blood. Oh my goodness. Our old friend Blood Moon. So, what happens if a land of yours, a non-basic land, gets targeted by Rakish revelers for that second ability that turns it into can produce Naya mana? What happens? Comment down below what you think might happen. Thurston, what do you think will happen here in this situation?
That depends on the land that it's targeted. Is the land a
Let's
basic
say it's
land?
non-basic. Let's say it's non-basic. It targets a non-basic.
Non-basic?
Yep. Let's say revelers are targeting a non-basic land. What
I
happens?
think timestamp should matter. Which one goes first?
Let's say revelers go first.
Revelers goes first. So then Blood Moon should overwrite the land, and it loses the ability, and it just turns into a mountain.
Mhm.
That's how I understand it.
Okay.
Did I get it
Anybody
right?
else? Anybody else? Let's just ask the chat.
Anton, you better get your answer on this.
Yeah. Anybody else from the chat? I'll just wait for like someone.
Like a good minute.
Okay.
Because the way I see it is that it gain like you give it the ability to add Naya colors, but when Blood Moon comes in, then it basically turns into a mountain, loses all abilities, and then just gains the ability of adding red mana. That's how I got the gist. I
Uh,
don't know.
it's
You tell me, guys.
yeah.
It does not affect Reveler. No, we're talking about the land that Reveler
That
targeted.
reveler is attached to. Anyway, actually, what happens first is revelers ability happens on layer 6, where you add or remove um, abilities. Blood
Hmm.
Moon, Blood Moon applies in layer 4, which is the layer where you change types or super types. So what
Hmm.
happens first is Blood Moon applies first, so that unbasic land, non-basic land becomes a mountain, then it gains its ability. So it's still
So does he lose the ability to produce Naya colors?
no, you it gains it. What happens is Blood Moon applies first, turning that non-basic land into a non-basic mountain, and
Mhm.
then it has this ability of revelers. But it gains
Wait, regardless of
time
when you use it.
Yeah, regardless
Wow,
of time.
really?
Yep, yep. It's important to learn. This is an important thing to learn when it comes to. I'll do another video on the layers. But yeah, we apply it when we're talking about effects that apply to a object. We follow it in the layer order. So first layer, yeah, the first layer is layer 4, which changes its typing. Then layer 6, which gives or that adds or removes abilities.
Yeah, the best example was back in standard, old standard was Poco Lethal Crowns. It was super rampant in the format,
Yes.
and everyone had a lot of questions regarding his second ability, which
Yeah.
basically
But
fungifies every creature in the field.
so yeah,
So yeah, they had a lot of judge questions regarding the ability back then.
yep,
So this is pretty much similar,
similar.
although
Yes.
it's not that popular
Yep.
to see.
It's not as popular because these features we don't see on constructed tables. We see
Yeah.
them usually in limited tables, but it's nice to know. Actually, this also deals with another card in the set. I forgot the name. Green enchantment that turns all land 16 unique treasure.
Yeah, it's bootlegger stash.
Bootlegger stash. Yeah, this is thing. That will applies first, turning all of the land mountains. Then they can gain the increase and threshold. So they still can go treasure.
So which layers does the blood moon affect the abilities of the non-basic lands?
they apply on layer 4. So any abilities that are like they have daan, that abilities that naa sila daan, like for example, uh, what's that land that gives fear to shield, death storehouse something. It has
Shizu.
so yeah, it has the ability on itself. Blood moon turns it into a mountain, so loses everything. This one, it gains. It's giving it essentially. So anything
So
that
even though Reveler's ability came first before the Blood Moon,
yeah, time
it,
stamp
it will
doesn't
still
matter.
gain the
Yeah,
ability.
correct,
I
correct.
see. I see.
Time stamp doesn't matter here because what Revelers is trying to do is giving it an ability. It doesn't have the
Right.
ability of the land.
All right.
Yeah,
Cool
we will.
interaction.
Yeah, yeah. We will be producing more of these videos which talk about the layers. Like there's layer 1 to 6, and there are 5 sub layers of layer 7. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about. So if you guys want to learn that stuff, uh, tune in to Top Tech News. Right, next. Broker's Hideout and Orborg Tomb of Yakmon.
Mm.
The question here is, can Broker's Hideout, before it gets sacrificed, can it still produce black? What do you think, Chris? With
Yeah,
this,
it can. I've seen this interaction before where there was a deck made by Magic Aids, very notorious Magic player in the YouTube community. He made a deck where he tried to utilize the ability of Urborg to give these pseudo fetch lands produce black. So yeah, when Broker's Hideout here enters the battlefield and then its ability triggers, then if Urborg is also on the field, he can still float mana or float black in that situation before the ability resolves.
you are
Like my mom.
correct there. We can show that. We can show that. 100%.
I mean, we can, but
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to answer that?
Bobby.
Cancel him out. I think that's
We
the
can
answer.
set that up, Bobby.
Hello, Bobby. Welcome to the stream.
Good evening. Anyway, yes, Gerson is 100% right. With Orborg Tomb Yakmot out in the field, Broker's Hideout can still produce black mana before it gets sacrificed by its queen. Yeah, good catch there. So
Yeah,
next,
because the deck that he made was Golgari, I believe, or Jund, Jund mid range, where he had 4 copies of Deathrite Shaman, and then he used that card to abuse the fetch lands
alright.
while having Urborg. So you're still like up on mana all the time, like, super
Oh, yeah,
efficient with your usage. Yeah, it was a cheesy cool deck, but
cool that.
still a brew. I don't think it. I mean, it can win some games, but to put it up with a tier 1, I don't think it's gonna match. Especially in Pioneer. Pioneer's a hot
Pioneer.
mess right now. With the mono green and the mono blue, it's the battle of the greens and blues. And Rakdos. Rakdos is very strong right now.
Anyway, yeah. For that, this one,
Okay, proceed. Oh, okay, we're already at the end.
We're already at the last part of our slide. If you guys are wondering why I didn't include Long Store, the gift here, I will tackle that in another video because it deserves its own video.
Hmm.
Question for the judges. Question for the judge. If you guys want to put your questions in the comment section below. When it comes to rules or any questions about Capenna, comment them down below. I'll do my best to answer them, and maybe one of those questions get a promo pack.
Wow, promo pack.
Why not?
Come on, hot bro. All right, so we're gonna close it out tonight, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed Judge Carlo episode 3 with your host Titi Bapo and me. Yeah, and him.
It's double.
Yeah, me and me, as well as Carlo G in the place to be, Top Tech Games. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Stay safe. Goodbye.
Thank you.
See you in the next one.
StopTech was made with one thing in mind, community. Ever since the MTGCDO group started way back in the 90s, it always fostered a sense of camaraderie between its members. What StopTech aims to achieve is every time you step through our doors, you feel like you're